and Lisanne, and they'll introduce their guest.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. This is like the third time we've shown the film, and ever. And we thought like the nerves and excitement would level off by show 2 or show 3, but no, I'm sweating buckets. I'd like to introduce one of the stars of the Indian movie, Tommy Refenes. Yeah, so this was fantastic. You guys got any questions? Right there.
What was the idea to make this?
Sure. The initial, very first thing that led us to this movie was we did this 5-minute short on this independent designer, Al Kaloka, who made Aquaria with Derek Yu. And Aquaria, in 2008, won the Seamus McNally, which is like the grand prize, the highest you can get in independent gaming. And this short was kind of commissioned, and it was supposed to be 5 minutes. We had to make it 5 minutes, but it could have easily been 20. It was just this fantastic story about just how hard it was to make this game and how this game became a reflection of himself. And we just thought that was really, really interesting. And shortly after that, we went to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, and we're hanging around the Independent Game Summit and met all these other guys, Tommy included, that had like the same story as Alec. And we just thought, these are fantastic stories and no one's telling them. And no one's even talking about video game design in any type of documentary form. This is a movie just waiting to be made. And with that, we started asking around and doing a little bit of shooting and just started to make the movie and put it out on Kickstarter. People responded really, really, really well. And that set everything in motion for the next nearly 2 years. Oh, right there.
I have a question for Tommy, right? Yeah. So how does it feel to have this whole process on screen for everybody to see?
It's pretty neat. It's that part of my life was incredibly stressful and incredibly meaningful. It's like the best thing I've ever done with my life, and now it's documented on film. So one day when I have kids, I can show it to them and they can say, hey, this is your dad when he was a nutcase. So. But yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I'm honored to be a part of it. I mean, they did such a wonderful job with it. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's great. Thanks.
In the middle?
Okay. So the parts with Tommy and Edmund, I particularly emotionally identified with, and I cried. I never thought I would cry watching a game-making kind of movie. So I really appreciated that factor, and so I was curious. It's kind of a two-part question. One, when you were doing it, obviously you wanted to tell the stories, the background behind what came into it, but were you trying to perpetuate an emotional connectedness with your characters along with kind of a new, inspired maybe passion for gaming in general? Because now I want to go buy their games. And also along with that, how many of these incredible people did you follow before you selected your final people to portray in your movie?
Yeah, that's what we were trying to do. No, that's true. We wanted people to identify with the people on screen and feel like you were in the journey also. Because I saw people fidgeting on certain tense parts, and that's what we wanted. Yeah, we wanted people to see what this world was all about, because we think what they're doing is amazing. And they're super talented in the fact that you're using code and expressing yourself through code, which seems such like a foreign thing to me, that blew us away. We actually shot with over 20 developers, and we didn't follow them as in-depthly as we followed Phil and Tommy and Edmund, but they have great stories, and so that's all on a special edition that we're making. Yeah, there's a lot. Up in the corner, the guy standing.
Yeah, I don't play games at all, but this is one hell of a film. It was so emotionally engaging, beautifully shot, a huge amount of heart. Could you just explain how you shot it, and also what kind of equipment you used, and the 3,000 people on the internet? What was their part in it?
Well, the whole film, except for the wonderful music from Jim Guthrie, was made by James and I. So we edited and shot and did it all ourselves and did the interviewing. And we used Canon HD DSLRs, which, if they didn't exist, we wouldn't have made this movie. It's true. It wouldn't have looked this way. That was a big part of it. And we're really lucky technology has sort of caught up to what we can do. And then Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a site where you can put a project online and ask people if they want to fund it and be part of it. And so we put up this project in May 2010, and we asked for $15,000, and we made it in 2 days. And then we put up the project again a year later when we had totally run out of money. And people funded it again, and we've made way over $100,000 through Kickstarter, and then all of our savings in the film.
Do you think of doing another documentary centering on video games?
Yeah. We have a couple of like follow-up projects that we're thinking of, and one of them is video game centric. We're not too sure exactly what we're going to do next, but we do know that we are just scraping the surface with what we covered here, just in independent games, never mind video games in general. So there's so many more stories to be told completely. So hopefully some of those stories are told by us, and hopefully they're told by others too, because it's weird that there's not more documentaries like this, that there's not more video game design documentaries, because video games are huge. They're absolutely massive, and they inform our culture, and we're not talking about them. Well, we're starting to talk about them more, but we're not talking about them the way that we should, the way that their market says that we should anyway. But yeah.
You think you do anything on early video games, like stuff in the 8-bit era?
I would love to. Yeah. That's a huge. I'm like a Nintendo Genesis kid, and that's kind of where my heart is, and how I was. It was a big part of my childhood. So I would love to. Yeah, but no current plans. Right in the backpack.
So both for the filmmakers and for Tommy, were you struck as young independent filmmakers to see him as a young independent gamer? What parts of this struck you the most? And for Tommy, have you hung out with these guys this week, and have you seen any of the stresses that you went through there?
Yeah, it's weird. This is their story, but it feels like our story. Like it feels like we could identify with everything in there, because we're two people that used accessible technology to work on something kind of in a vacuum for a very long time, where it was just us, a computer, and ideas. And they're two people using accessible technology, working in a vacuum for a very long time, just them and their ideas. And it's weird. It seemed like we were going through what they were going through 6 months after the fact. So like we would be editing them in crunch mode, crunching to get it ready for Xbox, and we were editing in crunch mode to get ready for a festival. And it got to this point where we were actually communicating using clips of the film. Like we were quoting the film to just start to say how we were feeling, and it was spot on. Like it was completely sincere and very effective, and it totally worked. But yeah.
Yeah, and then like hanging out with them this week and seeing all the stuff that they had to do through Sundance. When Meat Boy was in the Independent Games Festival, we were losing our minds. We would get pulled away for interviews and stuff like that, and I can see it with you two, because you're constantly like, oh, we got to go here, and then you're like, oh, we talk about like different sort of aspects of showing your work to like tons and tons of people. Like it's just that sort of initial like, oh, it was just ours, and now it's sort of everybody's. All of that. Yeah, it's like the parallels are pretty insane. So yeah. Yeah.
There's a kid right there, actually, in the middle.
I wasn't quite sure about this in the movie. Those games are for what system?
Good question. So, where can you get the games? Tommy's game is available on Xbox Live and Steam, and so is Braid. And Fez is done now. And it's coming out in a couple months. On Xbox Live. Yeah.